They thought she was nothing, just a quiet recruit counting magazines. But when the colonel discovered her codename, the truth shook the entire camp. She wasn't ordinary, she was Shadowhawk, the ghost soldier no one saw coming. Mily Watson stepped off the bus with a single bag over her shoulder. The air around the training camp was heavy with dust and noise. Boots hit the ground in rhythm, voices shouted in every direction, and orders cut through the air like sharp blades. Yet, Mily walked calmly, almost invisible among the other recruits. Her dark eyes scanned everything without turning her head. She noticed the crooked fence near the gate, the officer who watched more than he spoke, and the recruits who already looked too tired to stand straight. To most people, Mily seemed plain. She didn't talk. She didn't smile. She didn't rush to make friends. Her uniform was neat, but not flashy. She carried no extra gear, only what was required. If someone glanced at her, they would think she was just another recruit lost in the crowd. And that was exactly what she wanted. Inside the barracks, voices filled the room. Some recruits bragged about their strength. Others laughed at silly jokes to ease the tension of the first day. Mily quietly placed her bag under her bunk, folded her uniform with precise hands, and sat still. She listened more than she looked. A boy on the other side was already complaining about the food. Another recruit tried to shine his boots too quickly and left a smear. None of it escaped her notice. When the first drill began, Mily moved with steady steps. The ground was rough, and many stumbled, but she adjusted without breaking rhythm. The instructor barked at the loud ones, the clumsy ones, and the ones who tried too hard. Mily stayed silent. She lifted, marched, and turned exactly when she was told. No more, no less. At the rifle station, she worked with care. She ran her fingers along the metal, checked every latch, and wiped each part twice. A nearby recruit rolled his eyes. "She's still counting magazines," he whispered, loud enough for others to hear. Some laughed. Mily didn't respond. She finished her task and placed everything in perfect order. To them, she was slow. To her, it was discipline. The day stretched long. Heat pressed down on every soldier. Sweat rolled into eyes, and tempers flared. Mily stayed calm. Her movements were never rushed, never sloppy. She didn't speak unless an instructor asked her directly. Even then, her answers were short and exact. She gave no stories, no excuses. That night, while others joked and argued in the barracks, Mily pulled a small notebook from under her blanket. In the dim light, she scribbled short lines, not about herself, but about what she had seen. Who panicked when shouted at, who grew careless when tired, who showed flashes of natural instinct. Each note was sharp, simple, and clear. To her fellow recruits, Mily Watson was quiet, almost dull. But in her silence, she was building a map. Every detail, every pattern, every weakness was a piece of that map. She didn't need attention, she needed knowledge. And knowledge, she knew, was the first step to control. Days at the camp fell into a rhythm. Wake before dawn. Stand in line. March. Run. Lift. Repeat. To most recruits, it was exhausting. To Mily Watson, it was a theater. Every step, every stumble, every burst of laughter told her something. While others rushed, Mily never hurried. She folded her blanket with exact corners, polished her boots until they reflected light, and stacked her gear in order. Some mocked her. "She's too neat. She'll never survive real mud," one recruit joked. But Mily wasn't trying to impress them. She was watching. During drills, she noted who grew nervous when an officer shouted, who relied on brute strength instead of thought, and who whispered doubts when they thought no one was listening. She noticed the left-handed boy who always adjusted his rifle awkwardly, the tall girl who tripped on uneven ground, and the quiet recruit in the corner who might actually think before moving. Her notebook grew full. Short lines, fear shows, first in the eyes. Overconfident ones break early. Silence is better than panic. Each word was part of a larger picture. At night, while the barracks echoed with laughter and cards slapped against the table, Mily sat alone. She replayed the day in her mind. Not drills, but people. She imagined scenarios. If fear spread in the group, who would freeze first? If the instructors gave sudden orders, who would react too slowly? To her, it was a puzzle, and every day added new pieces. The instructors saw her as diligent, but predictable. She followed rules, cleaned her rifle, checked her magazines twice. She's a perfectionist, one of them said during a briefing. Good for order, but nothing special. That was exactly how Mily wanted it. Being overlooked was her shield, but, under the calm routine, her eyes burned with quiet focus. She wasn't just surviving camp. She was preparing for something larger. The first time the others saw her true ability was at the firing range. The recruits lined up under the sun, rifles heavy in their arms. The instructor barked instructions. Most were tense. Sweat rolled down faces. Fingers shook on triggers. The first shots cracked. Some hit. Most missed. Groans and curses followed. Mily stepped forward silently. She adjusted her stance without a word. Feet placed firm, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady. She exhaled once, then squeezed the trigger. The bullet struck dead center. The instructor raised an eyebrow. Beginner's luck. She fired again. Another center hit, then another. Shot after shot, her aim was calm and precise. While others flinched at the recoil, she adjusted naturally. Her breathing never faltered. Whispers spread. How's she doing that? She's too calm, one recruit muttered. She's just counting bullets now, trying to laugh. But his voice cracked with unease. Mily ignored them. She wasn't shooting for applause. She was proving something to herself that her old instincts had not left her. When the exercise ended, her target was flawless. Others stumbled away, frustrated. Mily cleaned her rifle quietly, as if nothing had happened. But the whispers didn't stop. That night, she overheard 2 recruits. She's not normal. Did you see her hands? They didn't even shake. Mily wrote one line in her notebook. Noise makes them blind. Silence makes me sharp. Asterisk, Colonel Davis had seen hundreds of recruits. He knew the loud ones broke fast. The overconfident ones failed early. The rare ones, the quiet ones, were different. He had noticed Mily from the start. The way she scanned the grounds while pretending to polish her boots. The way her posture shifted at the smallest sound. Most recruits reacted after orders. Mily reacted before them. One morning he ordered a navigation test. Groups of recruits had to cross uneven terrain and find markers within a strict time. Most ran too fast, tripped, or argued over directions. Mily's group lagged, confused, but she walked calmly, choosing paths that avoided mud, that offered cover, that kept her unseen. She didn't argue with her group. She let them move first, then guided quietly with small gestures. They reached the finish faster than expected. Colonel Davis wrote her number down. Later, he arranged a stress drill. Fake explosions, sudden shouts, smoke grenades. Panic filled the air. Some froze, some screamed, but Mily moved like water. She ducked low, shifted behind cover, and scanned her surroundings with sharp precision. Her breathing never broke. Her eyes never wavered. The colonel narrowed his gaze. She's not like the others. That evening, while recruits laughed in the mess hall, he watched her from a distance. Mily sat alone, eating slowly, eyes still observing. To others, she was invisible. To him, she was an unanswered question. The colonel decided to push her. He set up a private evaluation under the excuse of special training. The next morning, Mily was sent to a secluded range. Targets at odd distances, obstacles in the way, and a time limit designed to break nerves. She stepped onto the field with her usual calm. The first shot perfect. The second they adjusted for wind without hesitation. Then she moved, crouching low, shifting cover to cover. Her shots were smooth, her movements precise, her timing flawless. Every target fell exactly where she aimed. Colonel Davis watched from the shadows, arms crossed. He had expected skill. He had not expected mastery. When it ended, Mily rechecked her rifle, wiped it down, and placed it neatly on the table. Her face was unreadable, as if nothing unusual had happened. "Watson," the colonel said finally, stepping forward. His voice was calm but firm. "You're hiding something. Who are you really?" Mily lifted her eyes, silent, calm. Then, slowly, she answered, "Sir, I'm exactly what you see." But her eyes carried a truth he could not ignore. The training field was silent after the trial. Only the faint echo of the last shot hung in the air. Colonel Davis stood with his arms folded, his sharp eyes fixed on Mily Watson. He had watched her dismantle every challenge with unnerving precision. No wasted motion, no hesitation. It wasn't skill of a recruit. It was mastery. "Mily," he said at last, his voice low but steady. "That performance isn't something you learn here. Not in a few weeks, not even in a year. You've done this before." Mily set her rifle down with care, checking the chamber one last time. She looked up at him, her expression calm, unreadable. For a moment, she said nothing. Silence stretched between them. The colonel waited. Finally, she spoke. "Sir, I've been trained before. Not in places you'll find on paper." His eyes narrowed. "Go on." She reached into her small bag. From inside, she pulled a thin folder, worn at the edges, its corners bent, as though carried through storms. She placed it on the table between them. The colonel opened it slowly.